Hey guys, it's Dee. Welcome to my channel, as everybody says. Today we're gonna switch up the background. This is my room. You're not gonna get much of it, but this is it. I did want to talk a little bit about my preceptorship experience and what's going on right now. So right now with school, I have my cohort and I have been left in the dark about what's going on with clinicals. Basically, the way our fourth semester works is half of us goes to preceptorship, and then the second half of us goes to preceptorship. Like, I don't know, we split it. So like the first half of the semester, half of us are in preceptorship and the other half are like doing observation hours, and then we switch. I did my preceptorship experience, as most of you know, so all I have left is literally 32 hours of observation days, and I'm in limbo about what's really going on because of the coronavirus. I know that I'm not graduating. I am graduating, supposedly, but I'm not walking the stage. I don't think pinning is happening. It's a lot going on right now. So those to you that have in distress and got a lot going on right now, please hang in there. Like, hang in there. Everything's going to be fine. You're going to make a great nurse, even though online experience is not going to be the same as actually hands-on. Just hang in there. You're going to do great. Take what you know, take the experience that you did get to have, and it's all going to come together once you hit the floor, whenever clinicals resumes back and all this blows over. So I'll talk about my preceptorship experience, and definitely I'm gonna make a post about it, like in depth what I learned and what I did, but this is kind of a wrap up of overall how everything went. I think the first week I went into it, I was really anxious, but also excited and ready to make mistakes. I think that it's just impossible. You're not going to be perfect. This is completely different than clinicals where you go in and like you have your instructor with you, or you have a peer, or like your classmate, and you ask questions, and like you have your nurse. Like this time, instead of clinicals and you're learning and you're getting experience and maybe you're taking vitals and doing patient care, this time you are kind of taking over the role as the nurse. You are responsible for all of your patients, depending how many you get. You're responsible for all their medications. Most likely you'll be passing your meds with your preceptor, but you don't have an instructor all watching everything that you do. Like, your preceptor's there. You are talking to patients, you're doing discharge instructions, you're teaching, you're doing procedures, you're doing all that. You may be talking to the doctor, you might gotta call some labs. You're in there. Like, it's no games. Like, you're in there. So I think that was what made me like, ooh, I don't know how to really feel about this experience. So I'll go by week. Week one, I made a bit of fuck ups. It took me a while to get comfortable. Not a while, but at first it was like, oh, I don't know how things are going. I kind of wanted to know the flow of how everything works. So what I did in my typical day is you go in, get there maybe 6:45, you're gonna get report. Learning report is one thing I want to talk about. Report is different than the S-bar that they teach you in nursing school. So in nursing school, they teach you situation, background, assessment, recommendation. That's S-bar. Real life nursing, they kind of do that, but at the same time, they don't. Like, if you've had the patient before, let's say you're giving reports to a nurse that already had that patient, we're not gonna do the whole S-bar. We got you, we had it, what's new? What's popping? Like, what happened, basically? If you never had the patient before, I mean, it is the S and the B, like situation, background, that's kind of mixed. I don't know if they really even give recommendations. It's just kind of all over the place. I don't even know how to like explain report, but maybe my preceptor made a sheet for me of how she gives report, so I have that still. I think I'm gonna make a video about how real life nurses give report. So you go in, you get report, you're gonna check in on your patient, see, check on them, see what's happening. Some patients, you do bedside report. You're gonna do bedside report. Some things you leave for outside the room, like, but you're going to give bedside report, but you know, some things we're gonna have to take this outside, let you know what happened with this patient today. Let me tell you about Mr. Smith. Yeah, so give report, and then how I work, I just look at the chart. So after I get report, okay, is there anything you need? Da 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 da. Next thing, I'm gonna look into the patient's chart. So let's say I have 6 patients or 5. I'm gonna look into all their charts, get some information that you missed. You always want to check the chart. Always check the chart, because you're not gonna get, you cannot rely simply on the words of the nurse, because you were not there the night before, you were not there the shift before, so you don't know what happened. You need to check the chart to kind of get the updates and kind of the bits and pieces to put everything all together from the report that you got. You also want to know the meds that are scheduled, because let me tell you, things happen quick. Most of nursing is passing meds, but there's a lot in between that. There's so much. So that's why checking the chart, get an idea of the plan for the day, is really important. Once I kind of check the chart a little bit, or I think sometimes I check the chart, but really patient assessment, you want to do a quick focus assessment. Make sure they're alive, make sure they're breathing, make sure that their lines, like their IV lines, are all in check, that your nurse was right about something. Your nurse might have given a report like, oh, they had a 20 gauge left AC, and you're looking at left AC and nothing's there. You want to just make sure they're all good. Do your focus assessment. Your assessment will start to get quicker and quicker. You start to notice things. So kept checking cap refill, do lung sounds, heart, check that. Make sure they can move, make sure they don't have any wounds, things like that. Check the abdominal assessment. I had a patient where that really came in handy, and there was something. There was definitely something, some distension or whatever you want to call it. That was really cool to see. But yeah, check all the lines that they have, you know, make sure they all good. Then, like I said, go to the chart, make sure you're getting all the information that you need. After you check the chart and you do your assessment, then you chart. You better chart quick, because stuff be coming. That's when lights start be coming on. You'll see, and they say, hey, patient at 825, blah blah blah, they got da 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 da. Like, you get calls from the doctors, then things start coming quick. Make sure you check their telly. Sorry, I'm like blabbing all over the place. I'm just like spitting out things as I think about them. But yeah, so know the meds. Know the meds. So in clinicals, like my first few semesters, we were required to write down the meds, mechanism of action, what class, side effects, adverse effects, all that. In real life nursing, you ain't got time for that shit. You need to know your meds though, because a lot of your patients will have the same recurring meds. So a lot of it, like, you'll get gabapentin, metoprolol, Lasix. You're gonna get the same stuff, but the things that you haven't seen before, you need to look up. You need to know what you're giving, because when you go in that room, I've had it happen to me so many times during my preceptorship. I'm at 8 minutes, okay. Yeah, I go in, I'm like, okay, Mr. Smith, I'm here to give you your medications. They're like, so what is that? What am I getting? Okay. So you don't want to look flustered. You don't want to not know. You don't want to be like, yeah, I have your, I'm trying to think of something. Guaifenesin, or however you say that. Guaifenesin. I got that for you. Okay, what the fuck is guaifenesin? What's that? Miss Nurse, what's that? They're gonna ask you. They're gonna make sure you know what you're giving, and sometimes they just don't know. A lot of times the family members are gonna question you. They're gonna question your abilities. They're trying to make sure that their patients, or their family, whatever, is getting the best care possible. You cannot be not knowing, going in the room not knowing what you're doing. They're gonna think you're incompetent. They're gonna want a new nurse. You need to know your shit. So even if you don't know what the med is for, you better have a good idea that it works on this, or this treats BPH, or something like that, like tamsulosin. This treats BPH. Okay, you don't need to go in the mechanism of action and all that shit. Just know what it does, so that the patient knows that you know, and you know what you're giving. You might be given something that is, what is that called? Has a bad interaction, okay? You might be given something that's not good, no bueno. And you're like, why the fuck did the doctor order this? So always use your judgment. You're gonna always be critically thinking. Yeah, so that's on giving meds. especially when you give meds. Before you give meds, prioritization. You learn that in nursing school. Prioritize. Who goes first? That's what my preceptor kind of worked with me. So who are we doing first? And when she meant that, like, who the fuck is the most important? Who has the most critical? Who's, first of all, pain. If your patient is in pain, get them damn pain meds. Okay, we're gonna pull morphine. We're gonna pull whatever. We're gonna, the 2 milligrams. We're gonna get that morphine first. That patient's gonna be first. Okay, you need to prioritize. About all 6, who is most important? A lot of times you're gonna have some patients that are like, eh. At that point, like, if you have some patients that are like, eh, they're equally the same, then I kind of just go down like the row, the hall, kind of in order. Not so I'm like, oh here, oh here, oh here, like, but you know, have a system, have a flow. If your patient has insulin, how many units are you giving? Yes, we're giving insulin lispro. Okay, wonderful. But did you check their sliding scale? Did you get the blood sugar? Did the CNA get the blood sugar? Was it documented? You know, things like that. Medication administration. Definitely with meds. Like I said, you need to know what you're giving. Don't forget anything. Don't scan. Don't forget to scan. Don't forget to pull the right amount, because if you don't, especially if it's a narcotic and they want you to, the Pyxis wants you to take count, you better be counting. You better be counting right. Okay, if you need a waste, clearly you're not a registered nurse. If you're precepting as a student, you need to make sure that your nurse gets the other nurse to waste. But you got to do that. Make sure that you're keeping track of the meds, that you've pulled all of them. I literally went in a room and I was scanning, and I was looking in the EMR, and I was like, oh, looks like we forgot a med. So then we had to go in the, leave, you know, don't leave the patient's meds in the room, but, you know, leave the room, If your patient has a neuro issue, you want to make sure that they know their name, date of birth, all that. Still ask that question, still ask for allergies. Just like I said, use critical thinking. If there's an order and it's kind of questionable, like, okay, this patient has kidney problems, they have liver problems, is this medication right for that? What, like, you kind of need to really be well educated about what you're doing, because at the end of the day, it's people's lives in your hands, and you do not want to give the wrong med, the wrong dose. You want to give the wrong time. I've almost pulled a med that was, my preceptor was like, she was like, what time is that med given? I was like, 10. She says, are you sure? It was 10 at night, not 10 at the day. So no date, no the time, no the route, no route for heparin. Heparin is sub-Q in the stomach specifically. So you need to know that. You can't just give it like an insulin shot in the arm. Like, it has to be sub-Q. I had a patient like, oh, I just want it in the arm. No, ma'am. Heparin goes in the stomach, okay? So things like that. Right route. Just make sure you're being safe at all times. If you don't know something, you need to ask. Never do something and you don't know what you're doing, because like I said, this is important. You can cost somebody their life. So if you don't know something, you need to ask the preceptor, you need to ask the charge nurse, you need to ask somebody who know what they're doing if you don't know what you're doing. And sometimes you might ask yourself, well, when do I need to ask? Even if you already know something, like, even if it's a stupid question, maybe I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's something even like really simple. Should I wear gloves? Yes, but just ask. Just ask. If you don't know something, or you have to question it, or you have that, then you need, you need to speak up. Speaking up is important. Advocating for your patient is important. Just patient safety overall. So the whole time you're working, you're critically thinking, and you think that you'll have time to sit down and eat. You don't. Because when you're passing meds, we got a patient in the car light here. I need this, I need that. Oh, wait, the family's outside. Like, the family be, when they want you, and some family be. So they, like, literally, you'll be walking by, meds in your hand, getting ready to go to the patient's room. Excuse me, ma'am, nurse. Like, your hands are always going to be full of something. So yeah, I don't really have much else to say about preceptorship. Those are just kind of some tips. I think over time you start to get in the flow of things. Like I said, so like I said, the day I come in, get report, do assessment, chart, If you don't finish something, try to, ooh, sorry. If you don't finish something like charting, then you got to get back to it. You need to be very organized. Being disorganized, when precepting or doing nursing, being disorganized is not going to get you far. If you are not organized, you need to get it together, because nursing, there's like a certain flow that comes with things. And I think my hardest thing, I wish I could charge my phone, is dying. The hardest thing, if you're like me and you like organization, you like things to be on time. Like when I'm saying I want to be done with 12 o'clock med pass by 12:30, it's 12:30. It don't always be 12:30, but at least if you have most of your stuff down and you have a routine, and at least your stuff is done by 12:35 and you only have like one more thing left to do, then I mean, at least where am I coming with this? Yeah, 12:35 and you have one more thing left to do, then that's great. But don't be just all over the place, not knowing what you're doing, running like a chicken with their head cut off, and you look lost, and you're going to be at work till 8:30, 9, 10 o'clock, maybe. Not really, but yeah, there's something in my eye. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're done with the thing in the eye. What is that? Arts. Okay, so I lost my train of thought. I lose my train of thought a lot. It's hard for me to focus sometimes. But I am an organized person and I do get shit done. So to wrap up, because I think I kind of went over everything, maybe let's see if I did some cool stuff. I can talk about that in my Instagram post. So while we're at it, go follow my Instagram. It's educated.rn, and I'll post a bit about some cool things that I did, some medications that I learned and stuff like that. I can like type that out better than I can think at the top of my head. But overall, my clinical experience was great. I did it in a med-surg tele neuro unit. I liked my preceptor. I liked the teamwork, which is really what I'm looking for, especially going into the field. If I get a position, well, I did actually, guys. I'm gonna be, drum roll, I'm gonna be an ICU nurse. I'm so excited. I'll talk about that in a later video though, eventually. But I'm excited to be a part of critical care. I know that is sometimes some nurses discourage it, like, oh, you should do med surg straight out of nursing school and get the foundation, whatever. I don't like med surg. I liked the experience working on the med surg floor. I appreciated it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to manage 6, 7 patients, all of that. I want to have my 2 patients. I want to focus in on them, their needs, their critical care needs. They need me. I mean, all patients need you, but like, I feel like I want to be where the action is at, where things matter most. I don't know. Yeah, overall, med surg, it was cool. It was alright. It was alright, but dude, it's a lot. It is definitely a lot. It's so much more than passing meds. It's so much more than it requires a team. You're working with a lot of people. Like, it does require team skills. You're gonna be working with other nurses. You're gonna need help. You're gonna have some crazy patients, crazy family. You gotta chase down the doctors. The doctors aren't gonna be like, oh hey nurse D, I'm going in patient room, da 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 da. Like, I learned that it's very important to be in the room while the doctor is in there, so that you are kind of up to date with what's going on. Because yes, the doctor is going to update their notes in the chart. They're going to say what happened, da da da. But you need to be in there so you kind of know what they're telling the patients, because not everything's going to be in the chart. So it's just great to be involved and kind of see what's going on. Be in contact with pharmacy. If something's going on, you need to contact the labs. Be on top of stuff. A lot of times you're putting in orders. You have to always. You can. Nursing is like you're depending on people, but you have to be independent and depend on yourself. You got to call the shots. When something's not right, you got to speak up. You have to, if the order didn't come in or the lab people didn't come, then you got to make sure you call the labs. Because like, I had a patient, they had some critical labs or something that needed to be done, or the order is supposed to be put in. I don't know, but the previous shift didn't do it. And if the nurse didn't look and check and look into it and call, then it wouldn't have been done. And then, you know, things like that. I think my patient had like an electrolyte imbalance or something. That's very important. So it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like you're not on your own, but you do need to take responsibility, like take the entire patient care into your own hands. So that's what I did learn. But med surg, it was interesting. You see a lot of stuff. You definitely do. You learn a lot of communication skills. You interact with a lot of people. You get to learn different doctors, different nurse managers. Every day is different. Every day is different. Oh my gosh, I can't believe the things I've seen. I don't even want to break HIPAA, but like wow, like kudos to nurses. So I'm kind of glad that I chose the field of nursing. I really am. I like it, so I'm glad that I chose the field that I'm in. Hopefully, you know, I do plan to move up in nursing now. I don't want to be on the floor forever, but it was so cool. So I'm really excited that I'm, you know, graduating soon with the corona stuff, speaking it into existence, that I'm going to be a new nurse. I'm going to work in my ICU. I get to learn some things. Like, you see it on my face. I'm so happy. So yeah, preceptorship was great. I hope you guys, when you get your preceptorship, like, tell me how you liked it. What were your thoughts? How did you feel? What did you see? What did you experience? How did that change your perspective of nursing? Do you want to do med surg? Some like my school, we're not allowed to do like ICU, ER, precepting, but you may have in your school. So like, how did you like the different fields? Or, you know, do you want to do that field? Like, what are your thoughts? So that's about it for this video, y'all. Stay safe, all that good stuff. Hang in there, y'all. We got this. Period. Bye.